Worldwide, faith-based, community-driven streaming media. This is The Voice 17104.com from the Allison Hill District of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Now broadcasting community radio from Studio A and community television from Studio B on The Voice 17104.com.
Welcome, my brothers and sisters, to the Richard James Show on 17104, The Voice. Hey, it's wonderful to see another day. It's wonderful just to be alive. I'm so happy that you tuned in again. We're having a few technical difficulties at the Richard James house, and we're trying to straighten that out with our computers and our modems and that kind of thing. So we'll just be talking to you today, and also we got a wonderful video. Today, our topic is Black Lives Matter. Let me say it again. Black Lives Matter. And we have an interesting documentary on that topic and the history of the whole Black Lives Matter movement. It's just a shame that we go one step forward in terms of our race relations in this country, and we fall backward. After Reconstruction, you remember the Civil War ended back in 1865. Abraham Lincoln was the president and did a wonderful, wonderful job in leading the country through some very, very treacherous years. And only a few weeks after the end of the Civil War, Lincoln was assassinated by a Southerner who could not accept the results of the Civil War. Did you hear what I said? He could not accept the results of the Civil War. And so he assassinated the president. And unfortunately, a president came into the office that was almost as bad as any Southerner, who did not want to see African Americans free from slavery, that did not want to see raising up the life situation of people of color. So that was one historical event that happened. During the turn of the century, we had a repeated uprising by an organization called the Ku Klux Klan, and then we had the White Citizens Council, and literally hundreds of African Americans for no reason at all were slaughtered, hung. We had the situation in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with the place they call Black Wall Street, where African Americans, in spite of their condition, were able to build businesses and build a life for themselves. And white folks could not stand that, so they went in and they burnt down Wall Street. And when I say white folks, let me clarify, I'm not talking about all white people, so don't get me wrong. And during those times, there were some that were against the negative things that were happening. Yes. And after World War I and World War II, when black troops fought in both of those world wars, shall we say, to end the war, they call it the war to end all wars. But we had black troops that would come home and were attacked and hung and treated with total disrespect by a white public who had benefited from the fact that these black troops fought as patriots. You see, we got a thing called loyalty in our community. And because we live in America, regardless of what our condition, we feel that it is our obligation to be able to fight and defend our country. And in that situation, again, we were not only just treated with disrespect, but murdered. Now today, we are blessed to have a generation. I want to hear this because some of these folks, even our own, don't have the sense enough to respect and understand this generation. But we have a tremendous generation. And they've raised up against a situation that involve brutality by law enforcement people. You hear what I'm saying? Some people are so caught up with the few of our kids who walk around with their pants drooping down and their eagles flying high, and they do some very, very negative things. But they don't represent the youth of the day. The youth of the day are forward-looking. And when George Floyd and the other, Ms. Taylor, and many, many others throughout this country, and Gardner, in New York City, all of these people were brutally slaughtered by police officers. You hear what I'm saying? Who had absolutely no respect, no regard for the life of human beings simply because they are black. And you think we're supposed to turn around and take it? No, not at all. And our young people leading the way. I'm still located down in Lebanon County at the Lebanon Valley Farmers Market. And I have a stand there. You folks ought to come visit me. And I watch, walking down South 8th Street, hundreds and hundreds of students, young people, and they weren't just African Americans. They were Asian. They were Puerto Ricans. They were white, together with their fists up in the air, proclaiming, Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. And they walk, and this didn't just occur in Lebanon, where I was. It occurred all over the world. In the UK, the United Kingdom, a white nation. Blacks, whites, people of color marched together condemning the racist and the disrespect that some white police officers had for people of color. And we were always taught that the police officer was there to protect us. That if we had a problem, that the individual that we call 911 or whatever number it is, that we expected that the police officers would come and join us and help us to defeat that problem. But we've had situations where they came and instead of helping us, they condemn us. They blame us. They kill us. And that is absolutely horrible. I remember Men-elect El-Shabazz, better known as Malcolm X, talked in a speech, The Ballot or the Bullet. He talked about the brutality that's been lodged against African Americans. And what he said is that, hey, if the police won't defend us, we will have to defend ourselves. Well, you see, the law says that you have a legal right to defend yourself. Nobody wants to get involved and promote violence. And nobody wants to see violence propagated against police officers. Because let's make it clear that it is really, really important that we have a police force. And I do not go along with it. I'm not going to let it drop from my tongue when somebody said they want to defund the police. I think that is a horrible thing. It is a ridiculous thing. And it's a stupid thing. We don't want to defund the police. We want to give it the appropriate funding. We want to give them also the appropriate plan and an appropriate training so they're able to carry out their position. One thing that we need to get back to doing, where it's not being done, is community policing. We want to establish relationship between the police and the community, whether that community be white, whether it be black, whether it be Asian, whether it be Vietnamese. They need to have some links. And the way you do that is you hook up programs. that involve both the community and or officers. There are some decent, let me say it again, there are some decent police officers out there that have a love for the people, a love for the community, and a love for public service. That does exist. There are also some sick policemen out there, and we need testing that's able to screen out those people who are sick, those people who have no respect for individuals of color or anybody else. They do not be on the force, so we have to do away with that blue, what they call a blue shield, where police officers protect police officers. I don't care how bad they are or how wrong they are. The blue shield should be to protect us, not the police officers that are wrong and that are sick. So this is what we are asking for. This is what we want to see. And thank God we have a generation, and I'll say it again, in spite of the fools out there who don't respect our generation, we have a generation of students that do care. And all over the world, even in Australia, Germany, all over the world, there were demonstrations and their organizations. They say Black Lives Matter have over 30 different organizations in different parts of the world that are lifting up respect folks. And there's a lot of folks, and they have a tendency, if you in public service, and it's your job to protect individuals of color, then you have got to love those individuals, and you got to love yourself also, and do what is necessary. Now, what I'm going to do is lift up the banner right now, and we're going to play a audio, video, documentary on the roots and the history of Black Lives Matter. And by the way, much of this video took place in a city called Seattle, Washington. I'm particularly interested in that because I lived in Seattle. Seattle was my home and the home of my family and my beautiful wife and my child. And so this one is the documentary that's going to talk about Black Lives Matter. And you
still there, Rich? Rich, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Go right ahead, sir. You got 3 minutes.
Okay. We've heard the documentary on the history of Black Lives Matter, this current movement. During every period, there's been a movement of resistance from Africans to all the things that have happened to us. And this is no different. And the leadership that of this movement is sort of broad-based, not any one individual. Some of them have their own particular concerns. Some are talking about being gay, and that other came, but that has nothing to do with it. What has to do with being African American and being Black, and being disrespected and killed and murdered in the street. That's what's been happening. But the beauty that I see is just the coalition between people of all races and generations coming together and working together to bring about change within our community. The thing that we have to do is develop partnerships. I understand that in the city of Harrisburg, and I've talked to the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club, and they have already moved ahead and working with some individual police officers that are working with the young people that come in the Boys and Girls Club. That's a start. That's a very, very important start. And a lot of times, our young people need mentorship from individuals who are in authority. And our police officers have got to connect with the people that they're helping. And sometimes the mentor learns as much as a student. But I understand in Boys and Girls Club, they've had some interaction with police officers that are trying to do a great job. And I can remember some police officers that in the history of our nation have worked to do, we say, lift up the bloodstained banner and work very closely with our young people and work very closely in our community. Often I raise the name Ron Sharp. Ron Sharp was the first African-American commissioner of the state police force in the United States of America. He was appointed under the Casey administration. and work very, very closely to end racism and discrimination. We had a whole slew of police officers that are doing some great things, and we have African American Police Association that existed in Philadelphia that actually fought racism within the ranks of the police officers. One thing we also have to remember in terms of what matters with our criminal justice system, that is not always just the police officers. We're quick to blame the police for everything that happens, but we have a corrupt system sometimes within the court who will go out of their way, whether the police officer is right or wrong, to support the police rather than to support what is correct and which is right. Quite often in our whole design of things, we set up grand juries. Many of these grand juries are all white, and many of these grand juries have already decided the outcome prior to its existence. So what we're saying is, good people who have a sense of consciousness, whites, black, Asians, have got to come together and make sure that these things are taken care of. There are many problems that cause, for example, young people to get involved in crime. Homelessness is a big issue in major cities. Back in Seattle, my ex-home, homelessness is a major issue, and it's all over the country. So we got to look at providing the necessary means to feed themselves, necessary means to educate themselves, the necessary means to make a better life for themselves within the system. And I see some of the policies and issues that our current president, Mr. Joe Biden, has raised in his $3.5 million budget is to begin to deal directly with the issue. So we can't just say that the kids are bad. The kids might be hungry. The kids need an education. The kids need a place to stay. I was blessed in my life to have parents that worked very, very hard to make sure that the three of us, and there were three boys, lift up the bloodstained banner, worked very hard. We would develop within us a work ethic. Also, we would taught to respect everyone, including the police officers. So, love receives, love given. That's all a part of it. I'm going to thank our folks in our audience for tuning in to Black Lives Matter. We raise these issues not to create controversy, but to make things less controversial by coming up with solutions and ideas and thoughts. And it's within our dialogue. We talk about developing plans, and we talk about, for example, with the police relationship with the community and community-based policing. We talk about things like that. And we have to take a look at our courts, too. We have to make sure, for example, that we have people of color who are sitting on the bench. We need to be on both sides of the bench. We need to know that. We need to make sure we have a grand jury system that's inclusive, and that we not just go to a community that is necessarily all of one ethnic group, but that we make sure that we have an interracial type of group. So, in other words, there are solutions to these issues and these problems if we just stop to think and to work together to try to bring about that kind of change. So, our effort and our program is to bring about change and solution. And I think everything that we do is love-based. We got to base our love for people, whether they be white, whether they be black, whether they be Asian, whether they be Hispanic, Puerto Rican, whatever. We got to care about folks and make sure we come up with issues and we come up with solutions to those problems. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in to the Richard James Show. Just want to remind you that we are still in Lebanon Valley Farmers Market. That's 35 South 8th Street. And we invite all of you to come to 35 South 8th Street and take a look. We got some authentic African stuff that will blow your mind We got some beautiful, beautiful, brand new African djembe drums, large djembe with a very good price. We have statues that are hand carved by natives of individual countries, community people, things from Kenya, East Africa, things from Ghana and Senegal, West Africa, and Mozambique, West Africa, all of those things. And we invite you to come and join us and let us know that you heard this on the Richard James Show. So we'll know that, what we're doing is not in vain. Again, I want to thank our owner and our station operator, Chris Thomas, for keeping us on the station now and handling the technical end and making sure we're able to get our shows together and also deliver a message that is true, and that is accurate. So until we see you again, so long, and God bless you, and may heaven smile upon you. Take care.
Thank you again for tuning in to the Richard James Show. Our African and our African American programs are set up to educate you on what's going on in this world. We thank you for taking out the time to listen. Let us hear from you sometime also. So this is your neighbor and your friend signing off. Until I see you again next week, and hear from you again next week. So long. God bless.